guys, Prangell Gaming here, and welcome back to Talk the Wall. This is the 37th instalment, and before we get into anything, can I just apologise, first and foremost, for the fact there will not be a Millwall Career Mode episode next week. I'm having problems with my Elgato Game Capture HD. Now, I've tried to play about with the wire and everything, and it seems one of the ports has been messed up, so I have ordered a new one, but it does mean I won't be getting an episode out for this week. But as always, if we get right into any of the responses and questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 36 installments, then why not go check them out. There's going to be a link in the description of this video for the last Talk to Wall, or you can access the playlist by clicking that I button and catching up with anything you may have missed. If you have any questions and opinions, do feel free to put them in the comments section down below, as I want a Millwall voice throughout. And while you're down there, don't forget to put your score prediction for the match coming up against Bury, and add what you felt went right and wrong in that match. Do bear in mind I recorded this on a Monday, so if anything has become outdated or if any new news stories have appeared, then I'll cover them next week in the next Talk the Wall. On to your predictions for the match against Spurs, and before you say anything, personally I thought that we would lose 4-0, and well, coincidentally the closest predictor was Liam Gaming 2, who thought the same result would occur. He did add that Harry Kane would score a hat-trick and Ali would get the other one, but he would love for Millwall to win, but obviously it wouldn't happen. But he did say good luck Millwall, and moo! The next closest was Jadams, who said I'm going to Spurs and I think we will unfortunately lose 3-0. However, it's a day out for the fans and a day to show how loud we can be. Moo! Hashtag no one likes us. I'm happy that Sean wants to stay, he's a great player. Harry Greenway then thought Spurs would win 2-0, while Joe Holloway and Riley Solo both thought the game would end 1-1. Joe said he hoped that he wouldn't get the score prediction as wrong as the last one, and Riley said that the result would happen in extra time. Harry CD then expected us to last to the penalty shootout, but lose on the penalties. He also added he expects lots of crunching tackles in this one. The final person to predict the scoreline was Joe Conway, and it's hardcore. They said Millwall would win 1-0. And on as a side note, the Veggie Tube said after the match, I know I'm saying the prediction now, but before the game I thought we were going to lose 4-0, so there you go. Now, I did actually watch his vlog, and if you guys haven't seen it, I do suggest you go see it. Obviously, I will actually provide a link in the description of this video, so you guys can go check that out. I think it's really nice to see his emotions and everything. Truly upset about the results. Last week I asked you guys a question, which was what teams in League One are overperforming, and 3 of you said your views on this question, those being Joe Holloway, Riley Solo and Liam Gaming 2. And we're going to start with what Joe said, as the side he said were overperforming was Bolton Wanderers, as on paper their side is not the best. While I don't actually agree with this in my opinion, I kind of think that Bolton may have some poor players, but you kind of got to see that's down to money problems. It really has become an issue and a reasoning for some of their players not being the best. But I would argue, if you look at some of their players, just to name a few, Josh Weah, Jay Spearing and Max Clayton, that puts them in a very good position, as they really have some quality names. And I'll say that Bolton, if they didn't have their money problems, they'd be a lot better. But if they do continue, I could see them dropping a lot lower in the footballing pyramid. Riley's team that he said were overperforming was Scunthorpe United, and I think they are overperforming to a sense, as people said that they would be a strong team, and well, some of the players have been outstanding, but I don't think they actually thought they would be as good as what they're actually being. I thought they would expect maybe playoffs. And well, Paddy Madden is obviously the one that many people know as performing, and well, another player that not so many are giving credit to, obviously the pundits and everyone else is, but not many people are remembering Josh Morris has been their player that's been lighting up their season. He's got 19 goals and 9 assists, and I personally feel that people should have seen a lot more coming from Graham Alexander's side after they last just missed out on the playoffs. So at the top of the playoffs, that's still a pretty big achievement for the side that obviously didn't do the best last season in terms of they just missed out on that playoff spot. The final person to say his overperforming side was Liam Gaming 2, who said Fleetwood, and they are very much overperforming. And for a side that finished 19th with only 5 points above the drop zone last season, and well, many of those players still being with the squad following this season, it is a real surprise. They obviously added Millwall's ex-player Martin Wolford and have got a new manager and new Rosler to kind of sort of mix things up a bit, and I think that Rosler has been the main reason behind their success, as if you look at their form since he's arrived, they've won 45.5% of all their matches under their manager that was great with Brentford. Though this season has very much been better, and their best run came to an end when they actually lost to Bolton Wanderers 4-2. They still are an outstanding side and sit second in the league at the moment, so they really could be in with a chance of going to the Championship. I think they're sort of punching above their weight though, a bit like Rotherham, that sort of side. League 2 side, maybe League 1 side at best. That's the way I see it, but obviously they do have some good players. They could maybe surprise me. The question for this week is, what player do you think deserves more of a chance to shine at Millwall? And now this comes after Alfie Pavey joins his third non-league club on loan this season, along with other players that have been kicking around for years like Sid Nelson, who's obviously on loan out to Newport County. On to your comments for this week, and the first comment that I'll be looking at is Malubu is apparently the next Chris Smalling. I am excited. And this was said by Joe Holloway, and I have to agree with him here. Malubu is, well, he was very sought after when we got him, and I feel that as Paul Rooney came in, he's kind of taken preference over Malubu by Neil Harris as he signed him, which I hope isn't the case, as they both look like they could work really well together. And as Malubu, he looks strong and tall, and so he's the type of defender that teams could only dream of. I am excited as I feel he has a huge chance to become a huge player like Chris Smalling, but that being said, if he doesn't get the chances, it really could ruin him. This was then followed up by Harry CD, who also had a comment about Christian Malubu. He said, I think if Malubu doesn't start getting game time in the cup matches by this time next year, I don't think it'll happen for him in a Millwall shirt. I heard good things about him when he came to us over Chelsea, so he must value his football more than money, I reckon. And personally, if I had to get involved, I would say that as he's 20, the next 2 years are the most important for him. But if he doesn't get more time, and as it pains me to say, if he doesn't get this time, I don't believe he'll ever get his chance at Millwall, and I don't think he'll achieve his potential if Harris doesn't give him an opportunity to actually perform in a Millwall shirt. He looks like he could be a concrete player for us, but I just don't know because he's not playing for us. Moving into Harry Greenway's comment, and he said, what's your opinion on Neil Harris? Do you think he should go? No. Straight up no. I don't believe it would be a simple answer for you guys to think of, but my answers are never simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break down Harris's record. For Millwall, he has a record of 50.4%. Now, this was a win rate percentage before we played Tottenham. I do bear that in mind. But he has been the best Millwall manager that has stayed at the club for over a month in terms of those statistics. So he's clearly turned his Millwall side into a strong team and a force to be reckoned with. And, well, we've obviously moved into the playoffs, though many would argue that we should have been there in the first place. And he has made us unbeaten for an incredible amount of games in the league. I'm going to say in the league because we've obviously been beaten by Tottenham. And, well, yeah, he's made such a strong side. And I wouldn't say we're playing the most attractive of football. So I don't think he should go. I think even if we were to get promoted and we were struggling a little bit, don't sack him, see how it goes. It's Hardcore was the next person to comment, and I don't really understand the context of what he's actually talking about here, so I'll say what it is, but if he can just let me know in the comment section of this one what you actually mean, and then I'll talk about that next week. But he said, I don't agree because Morrison is really experienced as he is older, and he has experience with higher clubs than us like Norwich. So as I said, I don't really know what he means here, but I'm potentially leaning towards it could be something to do with the captain conversation that I had last week. The next person to comment was Riley Solo, who said, no, Tony Craig. There you go with that one. I do apologise. To be honest, I don't know what tune you have to say that, so do let me know in the comments section. And, well, just as a little reminder to you guys, if you do put a song down there, if I haven't heard it, or, oh, well, some of them I have, some of them I haven't, either way, just put them down in the comments section what tune it's to, because then I can kind of match it. I'm not the best singer, and, well, when I don't know what tune I'm singing to, it's even worse. Liam Gaming 2 was the final person to comment, and he said, do you think we will do well in the Championship if we go up? And with this one, I'll say we'll be a bottom of the Championship side or middle of the table side. I cannot see us being a stronger Championship side even if we were like we were under Kenny Jackett, where we had that incredible first season in the Championship. I just don't think that we're that type of team, especially with the money that we have at the moment. His next question was, do you think Jake Cooper would win the League One's Fan Player of the Month? And he has already won it, but I'm going to say I did think he would win it. He has been an outstanding player for us. And, well, I hope we're going to sign him permanently, but as a lot of people in the Millwall community have been saying, we will have to spend big if we need him. He is on one more year left on his contract at the end of the season. That could be a contributing factor to whether he comes to us or not. He's already come out and said he doesn't know what's going to be happening with his future. Liam's next one was, do you think King will replace Archer when Archer comes back? And like many Millwall fans with this one, I don't believe that he would replace Archer because he's young and obviously Archer's still the number one of the club and has a couple of years left in him before he actually would go. Now, what I will say though is I would love if they could somehow rotate the two and then both become as good as each other, as they're both pretty good goalkeepers. Obviously though, King did take a battering against Tottenham, but he's really stepped up in Jordan Archer's absence, and I think he's not that bad of a goalkeeper. He does need more experience, and I hope Harris gives him some. Following that one, he asked, who do you think will be the next captain? And with this question, in my long-term answer, I'm going to go ahead and say Ben Thompson, as I believe that we need that sort of character, someone in the midfield. He would be a perfect captain. He loves Millwall Football Club, and so it makes sense. But I would only be saying that Ben would need to be trained into being the captain. So if Tony Craig actually does manage to go within the next 2 years, then I would say that Sean Williams would have to take over, as he's a strong character. But if Craig stays longer, then maybe Ben could be given the armband, as I feel after 2 years he'll be 23 and he'll be more prepared for the job at hand. Liam's next question is one that I actually find a really great question to answer, and it is, who do you think should take penalties? And this obviously comes after Lee Gregory has scored a large number of penalties after missing 2 in a row, and of course this was largely due to the absence of Morrison, and I would say we should have 3 players taking penalties, so not just one, so not just your Lee Gregory or your Steve Morrison. I'd say rotate Lee Gregory, Steve Morrison and Sean Williams. I feel that they're all different type of players, they all take it differently, and it would be a surprise to the opposition. And obviously, first and foremost, it would mean that the clubs coming up against us would have to do their research. If we just do them in random order and you don't have a consistent way of going, then that puts a very good advantage already stepping up to the penalty spot. Do you think we need a midfielder? Was his second to last comment, and with this one, I don't think we do need a new midfielder because we have a strong squad, though it does depend on whether Jimmy Abdou stays with the club or not. If he goes, maybe we would need another midfielder because we don't really have many other experienced players at the club, and well, maybe Harry Donovan could be someone to look forward to in the future, but we need someone there in case Abdou would leave. If Abdou did leave in, say, the next 2 years, then we'd need to sign someone. But if it's maybe 3-4 years, then maybe Harry Donovan could just slot in. Obviously, he'll have to be given chances before that. His final comment before a couple of songs was, do you think we will get in the top 2? And this one, I really don't want to jinx it, as there is a possibility, and that's as far as I'm going with that one. Because if we win our game in hand, we go 3 points off the team that are currently second, which as it stands is Fleetwood Town. But I don't want to jinx it. As I said, I think we're on a great run in the league, and I don't want to say 100% yes or 100% no. I want to be in the middle for now, but if you ask me in 4 games that have come in the league, I'll be able to give you a better answer at that time, because by then we should know concrete whether we should be able to or whether we won't be able to. Now let's sing the songs that Liam commented. He said, super, super nil, super, super nil, super, super nil, super nil, Harris. This was followed up by, he's one of our own, he's one of our own, Ben Thompson, he's one of our own. He finally ended with, no one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care, we are Millwall, super Millwall, we are Millwall from the den, Moving on to the Lone Watch, and for this week we start with Greg Wild. He featured 58 minutes for Northampton Town as his side beat AFC Wimbledon 1-0, but it was thanks to a late penalty scored by Matty Taylor that gave the Cobblers the win. As we move down a division to the League 2, we see that Sid Nelson's Newport County side scored a late winner as they came from 1-0 down to winning 2-1 and getting a vital 3 points, which sees them 10 points off of getting out the relegation zone with only 11 games left, which means they cannot be losing games like they did against Leyton Orient. Now, as for Sid, he did get this one in the centre of defence and he did play the full 90 minutes. David Ford had the same success as his Pompey side won 4-0 against Colchester, with Ford keeping a clean sheet, which saw them move into the automatic promotion spaces, but we'll talk more about that in the ups and downs section. Down to non-league football, and how did Kyron Farrell and Chris Twaddock do when Braintree took on Solihull Moors? Well, with this game it ended 3-0 with Twaddock starting, but he did eventually get subbed off in the 82nd minute for none other than Kyron Farrell. Braintree would be the first to say they didn't have the best of second halves as they threw away a 3-0 lead which they gained within the first half. The final player out on loan at the moment is Alfie Pavey, who joined my local club Dartford. So how did he get on when the Darts played against Concord Rangers? Well, it isn't as simple as that, because Alfie Pavey didn't play. He watched from the bench as his new side drew 1-0 with Concord Rangers. On to Millwall's match, and unsurprisingly we lost. But the manner in which we lost, it was so cruel. Losing was never going to be the issue for our fans because, let's be honest, we were the underdogs. We kind of knew we was going to lose, and if we didn't, then I'd be very surprised. And well, whatever happened, happened. I saw a lot of Millwall fans saying that, but losing 6-0, my word, that hurt a little bit. Maybe 3, 4, at a stretch 6 is, well, that's upsetting. But with Son getting a hat-trick, which was upsetting, along with the goals with Ali tapping one in and Janssen scoring from open play for the first time. I've got to say congratulations to Janssen there. It really took a long time for him to get a goal from open play. I really hope he actually gets in. He starts scoring goals now for Tottenham. And then the other one was with Eriksson scoring from open play, which was obviously a half volley, which opened it up. And I think Eriksson changed the game, to be honest. Now, as for King, I think he did very well in this match. Now, some of you will say, no, he didn't. He was disastrous. He didn't deserve it. He did save 9 attempts in a regular game. That probably would have been seen as a great set of stringer saves from the goalkeeper. And, well, I've just got to say, just be careful with King, because he hasn't really played that much. Stepping up from League 1 level to playing a Premier League side, it ain't easy. And, well, it is a shame that Harry Kane did get subbed off so early with that injury. Now, I don't know whether you do or don't know, but giving someone the player of the week after a game that we've just been thrashed 6-0, it's kind of hard to actually pick a player. But I'm going to go ahead with Jake Cooper, as he did some great things in defence, though you could argue that he was at fault for a few of the goals there. But the quicker we move on from this section, I'm going to say the better. I don't want to be sitting here praising players when they lost 6-0. That really isn't the best thing to do. Last week I asked you a question which was to do with who's the most underrated Millwall player, and no one actually responded, so I'm going to go ahead and say my one, which is the captain, Tony Craig. He still gets a lot of flack from fans, and I really feel that he has been the driving force in the defence more than anyone, and he doesn't get the credit he's due. He moved to a different position, which must have been hard for him, seeing the players that he also moved out of the position for competing very well and doing very well in the defence, which means he'll probably never play centre-back again. Overall, Tony has really helped this club. Now, I do want you guys to put down below, if you see this question, the most underrated player, do put down below who you think it is. I will include it as a part of next week's, along with this week's second question, which was, who would you take from a League One side's team to improve Millwall's current squad? Let me know who they are and a short or long, depending on what you want to do, reason of why you would take them. Moving into the ups and downs, and we're going to start with the Championship this time round. And we'll start with the side that sits 22nd in the league. And well, that's Blackburn Rovers, who fall back into the relegation zone following a disappointing 2-2 draw with Norwich City. They had the lead for the majority of the game and the man advantage, but they still conceded the equaliser in the 81st minute of the match, and they only have themselves to blame for falling in the drop zone following a 1-0 loss for Wigan against the other relegation rivals, Bristol City, which then sees Bristol City bunny hop them and move out the relegation zone. Though they can actually take some solace, some hope in the fact that in the 5 games that Tony Mowbray's been in charge, they have still been unbeaten, so they may still get out of that drop zone. 23rd are Wigan Athletic, and after losing 1-0 to Bristol City, they're at a time that it doesn't look the best. Losing to a side that was in the drop zone, that really isn't the best of things. They now need 4 points to equal Blackburn and Bristol City's points total, and with games against Villa, Newcastle and Ipswich coming up, it doesn't look great. Though they do have 9 games left to turn it around, and they do have Rotherham coming up, the game after Ipswich, which really is a one that they must win. If they don't, then I guess they'll be relegated. And just as a side note, just before I recorded this one, I saw that Warren Joyce, their manager, had been sacked. He's the second manager to do so, obviously with Caldwell being sacked and now being at Chesterfield, and Graham Barrow will be the interim manager for the rest of the season. Now, speaking of Rotherham, they sit 24th in the league, and nothing's really changed since we last docked in to see where and how they was doing, and they still look doomed to go down. And now with a huge minus 50 goal difference, should I say, they only have 9 games left, meaning out of a possible 27 points, they now need 21 of those points to get equal with Bristol City and Blackburn's points total, though the goal difference would still relegate them, and chances are they will be relegated in the next 2 matches depending on results elsewhere. But either way, losing 6 in a row now cannot have helped their case. If we take a look at League 2's promotion spaces and start with 3rd in the league, we see that Carlisle's poor form has finally caught up with them as they move to 5th in the league, and a new side has moved 3rd, which, as you heard me say earlier in David Ford's part of the Loan Watch, it's now Portsmouth. Yes, David Ford's side have now won twice in a row, and while in that run, they have scored 6 and conceded 0. In both of those games, they've looked very good, and after beating Colchester 4-0, they've really capitalised on other sides around them dropping points, though they must be wary of the fact they only have 62 points, and Luton, who are 6th, could go 2 points off of them if they win their game in hand. As for the side that are 2nd, Plymouth, they sit 4 points off a table toppers Doncaster after losing 3-0 to Blackpool last Tuesday, though Plymouth did beat Mansfield 2-0 at the weekend. As for their points total over Portsmouth, they have 6 points over them, so as long as they continue winning, they should be fine and should be able to concrete at least 2nd in the league. First in the league are Doncaster Rovers, and as they have 4 points ahead of Plymouth with 72 points, last beating strugglers Cheltenham 2-0 was a really good result for them. While their top goal scorer is John Marquis, who now has 21 goals, which is an amazing feat of goals for him. And I do believe that Doncaster would be expected to get promoted even if they didn't win the league, and with games against Notts County, Leyton Orient really being the 2 that you could take a real solace in the fact they're struggling, their games they probably will win, and they then have a 3rd game against 2nd place Plymouth, which could even determine how Doncaster finish. If they win that one, then surely they're winning the league. Now on to the final section of the podcast, and that's the Millwall news. This week we have 4 stories ranging from Cooper not knowing where he will be next season to Millwall manager Neil Harris winning the League One Manager of the Month for February. So that means our first story comes from February's PFA Fans Player of the Month Jake Cooper, who said he loves playing for Millwall but doesn't know where he'll be playing after his loan exit from Reading. He has, however, said he will not bring attention to any teams and just plays football and see where it takes him. The second story is Millwall under-23/elite development manager Justin Skinner has left Millwall. He left them on Wednesday last week. This does mean that Scott Fitzgerald will replace him until the end of the season, where Millwall can look for a good enough replacement to manage the youth team. With one leaving, another coach comes in, as Adam Barrett, formerly playing for League One rival Southend United, has joined us to be a coach for the first team, at least for now. And just something to note, Barrett is currently involved in getting his UEFA A licence. The final story is Neil Harris won the Manager of the Month for League One on Twitter, with the voting seeing him lead with 33% of votes, 8% higher than Oxford United manager Michael Appleton. And this award is rightfully won by the Millwall manager as it takes into account his Millwall side remaining unbeaten during that whole month of February while winning 4 and drawing the remaining 3. So that is all we got time for today at least. Do feel free to put your questions and opinions in the comments section for the next Talk the Wall. However, before I go, don't forget to put your score predictions for the game against Bury at the weekend in the comments section, as next week I'll be covering the game and highlighting the good and bad points. So why don't you tell me your opinions of the match and Millwall as a whole as well, and like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next week for the next Talk the Wall, but until then, goodbye.
We are heroes tonight. We will